Has a clear advantage on that map though, because he can say the name of it.
True.
Saviour with the Pterodon Riders, Fire Leech Bolas. This is something we saw Kung pull out, or Stowix pull out earlier in the tournament. Going with the Feral Stegodon. Here we are. Trying to see. Yeah, the Ancient Stegodon is much higher in cost there. A very skink-heavy army. Ripperdactyls. A lot of armor piercing. Good luck, have fun, guys.
I'm gonna use my mic and everything else.
Yeah.
While we have downtime, and we're caught in loading screens and whatever, you guys can go !raid in the chat to check out my stream raiders. If that's something you're into. If not, get ready to go on Oakenhammer. Let's take a look at the two players' positioning. Saviour pulling all his units back so he can think more clearly. Okay, he's going to group the Saurus Warriors. He's spreading them out. Kung going for a tightly packed, looks like triple line formation. Some units out in the vanguard. Saviour going to send the chameleon skinks around the area of the woods. They do have cloak on their own though. They don't necessarily need to hide in the woods. The pterodactyls going on his left flank. He's going to put the Stegodon on the ground to shore up that area of defense. Kung with the Tattersols on the left flank and the Flagellants on the right. So he really wants that unbreakable flank, and it looks like he's going to go for an envelopment. Of the Lizardman army, putting his cavalry on the flanks as well, and we should see an attempted surround from GTKung using his higher numbers. Numerical advantage, probably an easier way to say that. I think our two players are pretty confident in where they're at, so we should see battle join at any moment. Saviour asking ready. I'm not entirely sure why. It does start a 60-second countdown once you hit the start button. Just checking Discord and making sure there's no issues. These guys cannot see one another, so there is fog of war until battle is joined. And it looks like both players are ready. Saviour holding position, probably viewing Kung's army. Kung doesn't really care what composition Saviour went for. He's going to go for the same strategy no matter what. He had this strategy chosen when he was setting up his formation. He has pretty even forces on either side. Cavalry is going to come in, try to get those chameleon skinks into melee. Some more cavalry arcing around behind, and we are seeing an encirclement on Kung's part, so we're going to follow his storyline. He is kind of setting the pace of this game. Saviour just A-moving in the infantry. His skink priest collecting winds of magic, getting ready to cast. The first rout of the map is about to happen as leadership is wiped off these chameleon skinks, and the Empire Knights are sure to charge into the next unit of them. Saviour's Pterodon Riders taking terrible fire from the Huntsmen. These Huntsmen are adept at hitting flying units, at hitting beasts. They are very high damage, very accurate archers. Some of the best anti-large archers in the game of Total War. Feral Manticore summoned from Saviour, being thrown down by his beast, Lure of Beast, Skink Priest. Manticore going to tear through the Huntsman. This is all free damage absorption for Saviour. One of the Pterodon Riders is currently routing and should be able to rally. Skink Priests are trying to kite the Empire Knights, but they are effectively out of the main infantry battle, and one unit of Empire Knights is freed up to crash into the back of the cohort of Sotek, those red-crested Skink Regiment of Renown units. And it looks like it's being quite effective. The Stegodon finally joining the fight. Charging into the back of the Empire Swordsmen. These are the weakest units in GTKung's army. They are a Regiment of Renown, though, so they're going to hold for a little while. Ooh! And a huge bombardment goes off from the Skink Priest. It's going to soften up the Swordsmen on the right flank. These guys are not Regiment of Renown, so they are going to be wavering from that spell. It looks like Kung willfully pulled them back behind the Empire Knights. The Empire Knights fighting the Stegodon. Feral Stegodon is armor-piercing, so it's dealing a lot of damage to the Empire Knights. These Pterodon Riders rout some of the Huntsmen. Fire Leech Bullas dealing a lot of splash damage. Gorok, at pretty full health, has actually taken Volkmar the Grim out of the fight. Stegodon. Or excuse me, wait. Why did I say Volkmar the Grim? Oh my god, he took the battle wizard of the Empire out of the fight. That's Recaster fail. Another Feral Manticore summon going in on these Huntsmen. Huntsmen are wavering. Feral Manticore finally expires, so they're going to receive some relief. Now that there's no enemies in range of these Empire Swordsmen, they are going to rally. They do have quite a few models left. Huntsmen going in on the Skink Priest. Oh, they've changed targets. They're going after the Stegodon, and they are going to melt the health bar of that Stegodon. This is exactly what Saviour doesn't want to happen. I don't know how much Winds of Magic he has left, but he really wants to utilize every last shred of it to turn this fight around. Kung has the advantage here. Now, Gorok is coming back. That's going to provide a leadership bonus to all these units. He will, of course, have that stop rampage, so he can control the Stegodon again if he needs to, but the Stegodon is losing leadership by the second. Volkmar the Grim pounding him in his chariot. Flagellants charge back in. And this might be the last moments of the Stegodon's life. Gorok is going to be the key player here for Saviour. The Chameleon Skinks come back in. They are going to debuff everything they hit. And you can see some of Kung's units taking a leadership. Some leadership damage. 254 to 365. Unfortunately, Saviour's going to face another charge from the Empire Mites into the Chameleon Skinks, and they will deal some damage, cutting down models as we speak. The field of battle is covered in the corpses of the Empire. Kung trying to reform some kind of line of battle. Saviour being run down one unit at a time. The cohort of Sotek should fight to the last man, but they don't have a very large health pool. Each of these models only has a couple of hit points, and they are just overwhelmed. Only 6 of them left standing. They are going to be wiped off the field. This is the final one. But the Fire Leech Bullas are going to hit Sigmar's sons. This guy's with 76 kills. Chameleon Skinks. Chasing down some of the Empire Knights. These guys are routing. Pterodon Riders out of ammo are going to start entering melee, chasing the Huntsmen off the field, and they cannot rally while there's an enemy unit nearby. So as this first model leaves, that means the end of the Huntsmen. And as long as these Chameleon Skinks continue to give chase with these Pterodons at the edge of the map, these guys are going to leave, and that's going to be fewer units for GTKung to rally. However, GTKung has formed a core, and Gorok is not looking so hot. That health pool highly diminished. The Stegodon under mortal threat, however. The Flagellants not looking too healthy either. The Skink Priest is going to enter melee. Everything is so low. Everything is so down to the wire. But Volkmar the Grim, still at pretty much full health. These Chameleon Skinks can't kite this forever. They are almost out of ammunition. Only 5 more shots on one of the units. The other ones are going to enter melee. They will provide a constant debuff to Volkmar. But Volkmar has so much weapon strength. He has so much melee attack. And no! There's a bombardment on the Lizardmen. These Chameleon Skinks are permanently shattered, and with that spell, GTKung takes map number 1. Saviour. Ungrim Iron Fist at the helm, 3 units of Longbeards, 2 units of Slayers, some Hammerers, a Gyro Bomber, 2 Grudge Throwers, Cannon, and a Gyro Copter. GTKung with a Razor Gore Herd, 3 Minotaurs, a Bray Shaman in Morgar, the Shadow Grave, the helm, Borger, pretty fast, and with a lot of weapon strength. Three units, so he's going to close this out with 3 units of Centaurs for some armor piercing. This is a very armor piercing based Beastmen army. Looks like he's going to spend the last of his cash upgrading his units. Saviour appears to be ready, and he's locked in that roster we had before, with the exception of 1 unit of Thunderers. Okay, Kung spending the last of his cash to create veterancy on some of his units. He is ready to go. I am not. I forgot to... Oh, wait, no. I totally did. I'm totally good. We're playing on Schwartz. I have Schwartz up. Use the Ris3n. These are the winner's bracket finals. The loser will drop to the loser's bracket finals, while the winner just moves on to the grand finals, which are going to be best of 7, I do believe. It's positioning time. Saviour clearing his head by pulling his army back. Looks like, if we go back to the battle map, it's utilizing this series of hills. Now, I don't really like this from Saviour. He's hiding behind the hills. So let's go down eye level with this artillery. Look at where they're firing from. This is their line of sight. So they're going to have to lob over the hill. This could provide some inaccuracy from the artillery fire of Saviour. Of course, Kung can't see the corner camp, so he's taking a more staggered, spread out approach to this. As far as model count, it's going to be 326 for GTKung as opposed to 834 for Saviour. Kung is forced to crash into this before he takes artillery fire. The cannon fires its first shot, and it'll take some points off of the Ris3n horde. 3 kills on that cannon. Thunderers are going to start firing very shortly. Grudge throwers helping out as well. Looks like that missed entirely. Saviour's moving the cannons forward. The gyrocopter starting to fire, but it will be wrecked by missiles. It is very weak to missile fire. The Thunderers going after the Minotaurs, it looks like, but they're very far forward. I think they're occluded by the hill, and that's why Saviour has to bring these guys farther forward than maybe he would otherwise like. Slayers are trying to chase down the Ris3n herd. This is the closest the dwarves have to anti-cavalry. He doesn't want those guys getting in on the cannons. Kung's trying to angle for the cannons. That's where most of his micro power is right now. Morgar is slowly coming up in the background. The Centaurs are eating away at the flanks of these Longbeards. Oh my god. The Bray Shaman casting the buff and kind of losing his mind in the process. He does have health regen as well. It looks like Saviour's being picked apart. I mean, maybe he pulls this off, but it's looking less likely by the second. The doors are being cut to ribbons. 236 models to 537. The numbers continue to dwindle. These Thunderers are going to be in melee very soon, as Kung has collapsed the flank. Ungrim Iron Fist runs into the battle. He's trying to save the Thunderers, but they're being hit from behind, and the first hit points have been lost. The Chaos Spawn of GTKung should be helping out, taking down the Thunderers. These guys, unfortunately, are rampaging, so he can't control that. Gyrocopter was saved, at least temporarily. He's continuing to take damage from Minotaurs with great weapons. Or, excuse me, from the Centaurs with throwing axes. Kung gets a cavalry charge off on the other Thunderers. The first unit of Thunderers, totally broken, is going to start routing. The Centaurs with throwing axes are out of ammunition. These ones are almost out of ammo as well. So they are going to charge into the Slayers. Those guys do have Death Blow, so they will take... the Centaurs will take some damage as they get that charge off. Throwing axe Centaurs hitting the back of the Slayers. Ungrim is going after Saviour's last hope, which is going to be taking out Morgur and hopefully getting a morale rout on the Beastmen, because otherwise it's not looking too good. Oh no, the Chaos Spawn summon behind Ungrim. These guys are probably going to kill the cannons and these hammerers. Ungrim and Morgur are totally locked in a stalemate. Whew! This unit of Thunderers got knocked down. That means they're not going to be shooting for a little while. However, the Bray Shaman is probably going to be taken out by the Gyrocopter in a couple volleys. Oh wait, no! The Gyrocopter! Those were its last shots! It can't shoot anymore. It's got to go into melee. Kung keeps trying to get the charge bonus off on the Thunderers. However, Dwarves, of course, do have charge defense against large. Gyro Bomber enters the melee, attacking with its rotor blades. And it will rout the Centaurs. Chaos Spawn will expire eventually, however, they did do a lot of work towards taking out the Hammerers. Now, one advantage Morgur the Shadowgrave has over Ungrim is he has health regeneration. Look at it go up, just a couple HP at a time, and that's going to mean extra hit points of damage. Wait! All of a sudden, Morgur routs, and GTKung is knocked off of the field. Saviour evens the score 1-1 in this battle. Saviour opening up with Marcus Wolfheart into Celestial Wizard. Apparently he's expecting some large units. 3 units of Halberdiers, 2 units of Empire Greatswords. Yeah, he's expecting armor and large units. Kung going for a Chaos Sorcerer of Shatters, Kolek Sun Eater, Dragon Ogre Shoggoth, 4 units of Chaos Marauders, 3 units of Chaos Knights, 2 units of Chaos Warhounds, and a unit of Dragon Ogres. This is a composition we've seen from him before. Hey, he's gotten this far, so he's trusting in that. It is a pre-made. 3 units of hand gunners, 2 units of Empire Knights, 2 mortars coming out for Saviour. It's rethinking some things. Mortars will help tremendously against the Chaos Marauders. One concern I have with this composition from Kung is the weakness of his frontline infantry. He has a lot of mobility here, but he doesn't have a lot of staying power. I mean, sure, these Chaos Marauders can get into combat and lock things down, but he doesn't have any missile units to really capitalize on that. He's going to be heavily utilizing the Winds of Magic to deal with the front line, actually deal damage to the front line of Saviour, and he's going to be using these Chaos Warhounds to debuff the front line of Saviour. These Dragon Ogres are the real damage dealers of GTKung's composition. Both players are ready to go, and we're going to launch game number 3. The score is 1-1. Saviour. I don't think we've seen this from him before. He's going for a defensive square. Rank upon rank of units. There is a huge gap between these Halberdiers and the Thunderers. Okay, he's aware of that. He's going to get the handgunners spread out. Okay, Halberdiers in front. Yeah, it's going to be a full 3-rank box around the mortars. Celestial Wizard. On a unicorn. Marcus Wolfhart. Taste the grass. He knows that chaos has arrived. Looks like we're going to see our first spell from Saviour. Kolek in the vanguard for the Chaos Knights. Kolek deftly dodging the first mortar shots. Saviour really wants to refocus those mortars on the infantry. Chaos Warhounds going after the Empire Knights on the flank. They get a full envelopment. Empire Knights are very strong units. However, they are going to be debuffed by the Chaos Warhounds. Chaos Knights coming in from the back. Kung gets the charge off. And the Pistoliers have Kolek Suneater running for his life. Huge damage, half the health bar gone. Kolek does have health regen, I think. 50-44. Maybe not. I thought he had health regen. Guess not. But the main melee lines are connecting. Saviour getting great mortar shots off. Ooh. A huge Chaos Storm in the middle of the Empire. Handgunners got pulled into it. Not the best spell from Kung. Spearman going to hold the flank for Saviour. Chaos Warhounds chasing down the Empire Knights, but the Empire Knights are finally routing off the map, it looks like. Yeah, the first model's left, and that means the unit is done for. These guys are angling for the cannons, and it looks like Kung is going to get a huge charge off. The Dragon Ogres going into the Great Swords. They dodged through all the Halberdiers, going into the Handgunners. This is exactly what Kung wants them to be fighting. The Halberdiers were held off by the Chaos Marauders. Now Kolek Suneater going in on Marcus Wolfheart. A net of Amontok has been dropped on all of Kung's units. That means none of these models can actually move. They are stuck there for the duration of the spell. It is slowly ticking down, but that means the Halberdiers had time to get in on Kolek here. They're going to chase the Chaos Marauders for some reason, probably just to rout them off the map. I don't know that that's the best use of their skill right now. The mortars go down. Dragon Ogres slowly eating through the Great Swords. Huge mess of a melee battle. What's going on? I think Kung has the upper hand, but there are spearmen coming in from behind. Unfortunately, they're fighting the Chaos Marauders instead of the Chaos Knights. And a gigantic spell from Saviour is going to blow up those Chaos Marauders. They are shaking. Question is, will they rout? Handgunners are trying to reposition. Marcus Wolfheart going toe-to-toe with Kolek Suneater. He really wants to use his range attack. Saviour needs to get Wolfheart out of here. And get these handgunners out of melee. 66 kills on Kolek Suneater. And that number is only going to continue to rise. 69. Nice. Multiple mosh pits are going on all over the map. Sigmar's Sons should be unbreakable, or near unbreakable at least. Another spell goes off for Kung. I believe this causes fear. Some of the Warhounds are rallying for Kung. Oh no, a lot of Kung's units are routing right now. He needs to get them back into the fight and back into the range of Kolek Suneater. Saviour casts another net of mana Amontok on Kolek, but he doesn't pull Wolfheart back very far. You can see how powerful each of the shots is, but he needs to get them all off. Kolek is in melee, and that's not good for Wolfheart. Buff goes off on Kolek. The Sorcerer is going to come in to help. Saviour has the upper hand right now. But he has a unit of handgunners about to rout again. I think one more rout on those guys and they are shattered. They should be losing a lot of models to the Chaos Knights as well. Kung bringing some of his Marauders back into the fight. The Chaos Wizard, or excuse me, the Celestial Wizard actually routs one of the Marauder units. This is going to be such a close battle. Wolfheart, down to about 20% health, is trying to target down Kolek. Kolek, down to 1200. One more shot from Wolfheart might finish him off. But one more shot from Kolek will finish Wolfheart off! Wolfheart is down, the Empire is shattered, and GTKung is going to take our next map, it looks like. This wizard, the only unit left for Saviour. Saviour goes down. Kung is ahead 2-1 in this best of 5. Okay, if you don't want to take responsibility, then I am going to give the Wood Elves a buff because Saviour threw away his map pick. That's what you get! I'm a Maverick caster. You can't control me. Ooh, the Sisters of Avalorn. Now, they do have some of the best weapons in the game with those bows of Avalorn. I know I always say this, best archers, but you'll notice I'll say best armor-piercing archers, best anti-large archers. These guys are just good all-around archers. Saviour isn't sure what lord to pick. Kung, cutting costs, going with the generic Glade Lord as his lord, and it looks like he's going to invest heavily in infantry. 3 units of the Eternal Guard, 4 units of Way Watchers, 3 units of Wild Riders. A Mage of Beasts going down for Saviour. Four units of Silverin Guard, 2 units of the Sisters of Avalorn, 3 units of Wild Riders for Kung, a unit of Ithalmar Chariots, I should get this game, Magneth. It's like a solid 8.5 or 9 out of 10 game. Tyrannok Chariots. The Tyrannok Chariot is interesting to me. They do have the Reaver bows, but I think the Ithalmar is just stronger overall for the cost. It's plus 200, and you get so many better stats. Saviour will be knocked to the lower bracket if he loses to the Wood Elves on this very wooded map. Legree, located a little bit outside of the proper area of the Bretonnians. Kung splits the Wild Riders off to the left. Looks like his core is going to be around this copse of trees. What is Saviour doing? What is Saviour doing? He's hiding in the trees. So the thing about the Wood Elves is every single one of their units gets a buff while fighting in trees. Now the Way Watchers do still get blocked with their missile fire while they're shooting into or from a forest, but they do receive a buff. I've never heard of Dessel, so I haven't signed up yet, Magnus. Kung's coming out of the trees. I don't understand what's going on in this game. Kung wants to fight in the forest. Period, the end. And Saviour does not want to fight there. Oh, the Sisters of Avalorn doing incredible amounts of damage to the Glade Lord of Kung. These archers are key units for both players. And they're both trying to target... well, okay, so Kung is trying to target the chariots. It's like he's going in on these unshielded sword masters of Hoeth. These guys are not armor-piercing, a heavy amount of armor on the sword masters, but they're being hit from the flanks. Wild Riders haven't picked a target yet. I think Kung's waiting for the infantry to move farther forward so he can get a flank off, but some Sword Masters of Hoeth are guarding the archers of the elves. Our first Feral Manticore summon from the Sorcerer of Beasts. Kung charges in anyway. The Sword Masters are not anti-large, so they're not going to be doing any bonus damage to these Wild Riders. The Wild Riders get in on the archers. That means these Sisters of Avalorn aren't dealing damage. Oh my god, Kung has a total envelopment of these archers. The Sisters of Avalorn need to get the heck out of there while Tyrion and the Sword Masters hold this off. But they can't. There's no contain from Saviour. Kung will get the flank off if he wants it. It looks like he wants to fight the chariots, though, instead. One of his Wild Riders are routed. Another Feral Manticore summon. Not really doing anything for Saviour so far. The Sword Masters have been cut to ribbons by the archers. They're not going to be too effective entering this melee. And I think Kung's contain is going to hold. Saviour has gotten the Sisters of Avalorn together. They should resume firing shortly. Looks like they're targeting the Eternal Guard. I don't know that that's the best choice for them, as they do have shields. These Way Watchers are unshielded, so they'll take more missile damage, as half the shots will not be deflected. Some of the Wild Riders are routed. Rest of them just sitting in melee, not getting their charge bonus off, but luckily, Kung brought 3 units of those guys, so he will still get in on the Sisters of Avalorn. And that is a huge charge. A lot of them knocked to the ground, and a lot of them aren't going to be getting back up. Saviour's Feral Manticore has expired. The Glade Lord is shooting its bow. It's almost expended all of its ammunition. Actually, all the archers have almost expended their ammunition for GTKung. He's trying to kite back the chariots, but the chariots will make contact. There's nothing these Way Watchers can do against that. One unit's going to have to be sacrificed while the other pulls back. Oh no, they're going to enter melee. The chariots win this fight 10 times out of 10. Every time the spear pokes out, an elf will fall to the ground, never to rise again. Saviour's trying to go after the Lord, but he's going to be taking fire in the back as he does so. The fact that he stopped pursuing means that these spearmen are going to rally and will be able to reform a line in front of these archers. These archers can also shoot while moving, so that's not going to be good for the spearmen of the High Elves. Saviour does have a kind of concave on the Wild Riders. These guys should evaporate shortly, as should these spearmen fighting Tyrion. Tyrion is the ace up the sleeve of Saviour. Can he get Tyrion into battle and rout the rest of these units? Now, the Glade Lord does have a ranged weapon, and he does have a couple extra shots. I think what Kung's going to try to do is take care of the Sisters of Avalorn and then start kiting back Tyrion with those last remaining bow shots. Oh no, the Ithelmar chariots have lost leadership. They are routing. They should rally. They are out of range, but Kung focusing them with the Way Watchers. Getting off a lot of shots. I swear, these Sisters of Avalorn have been routed so many times, and they just keep coming back. Kung still has ammunition on one of his units. Saviour still with a lot of ammunition on these Sisters of Avalorn, but not a lot of models. So he has 9 shots left, but 9 shots on 16 models. That's still a heavy amount of damage that he can pump out, but not as much as he's probably hoping for. Tyrion is down to half health, and he's not effective till he closes in on melee. Once he does, he's a force to be reckoned with. But Kung doesn't want to let him get his attacks off. He wants to use every arrow he possibly can. 169 units to 87 in favor of GTKung. 1 unit of the Sisters of Avalorn finally shattered. They aren't coming back ever. The Gladelord should be able to rout the other one as well off the field. They are pretty close. Tyrion is taking archer fire. One of the Way Watchers runs out of ammo. This is 19 Way Watchers with 5 shots each. Missile strength of 30. Tyrion with a health pool of 2,000. Kung unites his infantry. The Mage of Beast still on the field for Saviour. Tyrion pops a buff and goes into melee with the archers. Mage is only tired, as opposed to Tyrion's exhausted. Means a little extra damage buff on her. Oh my god, okay. They finally shattered. That's incredible. They stayed in battle. They were routed so many times by Kung. Kung's just going full melee. Gets the charge off on Tyrion. Now he needs to be careful Tyrion doesn't round on his lord. He has so much melee damage, and Saviour has so little health, but looks like he's using every buff he possibly can. Tyrion is blinking. Tyrion's routing. That just leaves the Mage of Beasts to save Tyrion and bring him back to the fight. Kung is goon squatting him. Well, that's not really appropriate. He's getting us around on Tyrion. Chariot comes in from behind. The Eternal Guard do their best to block the Chariot, but there's just so much momentum for Saviour. The Gladelord's gonna keep smacking Tyrion in the ass while trying to run him off the board. Unfortunately, Tyrion seems to be running toward the south side of the map, which is much farther away. And that's going to keep the Gladelord out of the fight for Saviour. These Way Watchers have rallied. They have less than 1 shot per model. So only a couple of those elves are going to be able to fire their bows before going into melee. The Chariot will be able to outrun the infantry of Kung, and that means it's going to be fighting an isolated Gladelord. The Gladelord does not face a movement penalty in the forest. However, the Chariot does. Tyrion, a couple shots away from death. 446 health. 334. About 90 damage a hit is going off. 180. The next swipe Might be the last. Tyrion is cut down. The Mage of Beasts is the only unit left for Saviour. He's outnumbered 136 to 1. Can she pull it off? Can she keep Saviour in the winner's bracket? Or will Kung take the 3-1 victory? But maybe the last spell of the series is cast by Saviour. Deadly Onslaught, Call of the Woods, and Banner of the Hunter King, putting in work for GTKung. The Mage of Beasts is gone! GTKung emerges victorious as our first finalist in the winner's bracket, taking a 3-1 victory over